Hello, YouTube land. Today is Wednesday, and I know I look a bit extra disheveled. I'm homesick today, unfortunately. I know I don't sound very sick, but I actually am running a 2-degree fever and feel quite remarkably run down. On top of all that, part of the reason I feel run down is I've been following certain news stories the last couple of days, including the vote in North Carolina for the constitutional amendment, delays in the progress of track extension in the New York City Metropolitan Transportation Authority, also known as the MTA bastards, and other things. Like most people in the country, I have been watching information about the story of the New Jersey tanning mom, who, let's be honest, when they first showed her picture on the news, everyone went, "Oh my god, a living Oompa Loompa." But just a few comments on news stories. The tanning mom thing is ridiculous insanity. You know, they have the husband on the news and he's like, "Oh no, she doesn't tan that much, just a couple of times a week." First of all, a couple of times a week is too much. And then you have reports from the people who work at the salon that she went to. FYI, she's now been banned from tanning salons. All of the salons in her area have banned her because it's that obvious she has an addiction. But you know, she has had an unlimited tanning salon pass at that one place for 5 years, they said. She's there often 20 days out of every month. I mean, the problems and the stupidity involved, really, they scream for themselves. I don't need to highlight them any more than they already have been. What else? The MTA extension projects. Now, I'm one of those people who has a pretty deep appreciation for how long it takes to build things and create things and consider a lot of things we have now as marvels of the modern world. But I also have an appreciation for things that were modern marvels of what was the modern world, which we now refer to as the ancient world. So I'm not surprised that it takes a long time to build a subway. I'm certainly not surprised it takes a long time to build a subway system. I'm not surprised by the fact that it's going to take longer than people realize or expect to make significant extensions or upgrades. But the MTA here in New York is habitually delaying, extending, flat out procrastinating, and exorbitantly shelling out money for things and people that they really have no reason to be dealing with. So when I saw a news posting this morning that said the track extension work that they thought was supposed to be finished in 2013 now looks like it might not be fully completed until 2016. That's insanity is what that is. You know, I mean, tacking on 6 months, okay. Tacking on a year, annoying, but I kind of get it. But, you know, when you're tacking it on in 3-year intervals, 2, 3, 4-year intervals, that's just ludicrous, man. That's just ludicrous. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm so tired. Excuse me. I need a nap. I need to finish lunch and I need to nap. I've been curled up on the couch with Tribble most of the day. But the last one I wanted to mention, hopefully briefly but succinctly, is the constitutional amendment in North Carolina. Yes, I'm a Democrat. Yes, I'm a liberal. Yes, I'm pro-choice. I don't, for whatever combination or totality of those reasons, understand how humanity is still at a point where people trying to be happy needs to be made illegal. I don't understand that. Maybe it's because I'm a sci-fi fan. Maybe it's because I grew up watching Star Trek like so many of us did. You know? Maybe some part of my head lives in this fantasy world of Federation ideals, of, equality and exploration and humanitarianism. But that's not such a bad thing. People who know of Gene Roddenberry's work, or were lucky enough to know him, I think would all universally agree that he was a visionary in many different ways. And I don't think it's wrong or unreasonable or out of the realm of possibility to hold humanity to a standard, if not identical, at least similarly based to what he invented in the Federation ideals. And yes, fan bases have extended on that. Fans of the shows and the movies and particular characters have all contributed somehow to expanding the notion and ideals of what that could mean or should mean or does mean. But it's through consensus. There are tenets to that particular fandom that everyone accepts. And that we live in a time where that's not the case. That we live in a country where a group of people, however small or large, can get together and tell their government, their leading governing body, we don't want to allow this segment of our population, these people who many of us are related to and don't know, many of these people whom we're related to and don't know because we've terrified them into hiding who they are from us, can go to their governing body and do that. I don't understand that. I don't. And I mean, I could sit here and slam on the desk. I could sit here and cry and wail and bemoan the injustice of it, the inhumanity of it, and it is unjust. It is inhumane. But me slamming around and being really loud about it on YouTube isn't really going to make a huge amount of difference. It isn't. I mean, if several 100,000 people got together saying the same thing through YouTube or not, through social media or not, through protests and boycotts or not, that would make a difference. For the moment, this is just me giving my opinion. Aside from the fact that I know I have relatives in the LGBTQ community, aside from the fact that I am very proud of the fact that I am part of the LGBTQ community, it genuinely confounds me that humanity can be so self-destructive and so deep in denial about the realities of what human life encompasses. Because the same people who are extolling and extorting the virtues they see printed in some special book, whether that special book is the Bible or the Torah or what have you, the Quran, whatever it is, these are the same people who, as American citizens, as people who chose to emigrate here or who have grown up here second, third, fourth generation, that they call themselves American, faith notwithstanding, and would voluntarily vote to deny people the opportunity to be themselves, find joy, and create stable, loving home environments for any and all who might become a part of that stable, loving home environment. I don't get it. I don't get it. The principle America was founded on was freedom from oppression. In this particular case, freedom from religious oppression. So for you to be a proud member of a country who was founded based on, you're not going to tell us what to think or believe or how to engage in either, to then turn around and say, well, that's not what I think and that's not what I believe, therefore you're not allowed to do it. Every time I hear this argument, it reminds me of my grandmother. My grandmother's in her late 80s now, Jewish. But every time I visited her as a child, I'm not kidding, this honestly happened every visit, she'd look at me, sitting quietly, doing nothing really, a 7, 8, 9-year-old shouldn't be doing. She'd look me dead in the eye and go, "You should go put on a sweater." What? Grandma, we're in Miami. Why would I put on a sweater? "You should go put on a sweater. I'm cold." What? You're cold? I should put on a sweater? Well, because if I'm cold, then you're cold. No, I'm not. No, you're cold. Put on a sweater. I'm cold. You go put on a sweater. You first. And she never would. She never would. She'd sit and stare at me until I put on a sweater so that I'm schwitzing to death. I'm sweating my humanity out of my pores. And she sits there without doing a thing. Doesn't get a jacket, a shawl, a blanket, a scarf, a hat, nothing. That's what this argument reminds me of. You have a problem with something? Don't do it. It's that simple. And people come around with this argument about, oh, well, it'll lead to this and it'll lead to that. That's especially stupid coming from a state like North Carolina. Because in North Carolina, if I have my facts right, interracial marriage was banned in, I believe it was the 1860s. And for the time, that's not so unheard of. Unfortunate and depressing, but not so unheard of. I'll give you 3 guesses when they repealed the legal ban on interracial marriage. And the answer is 1971. That's right, 1971. It boggles the mind. It boggles the mind. So basically, North Carolina didn't turn around and say, okay, well, it's a federal law, I guess we'll let you do it here. Because, again, unless I'm mistaken, wasn't the Civil Rights Act passed in 64? So how did it take 7 more years for them to get on board? Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. But that was, not surprisingly, a longer rant than I've been trying to maintain recently. And I keep sucking down liquid over here because I'm dehydrated beyond all reason. Happens every time I run a fever. So I'm going to go have the rest of my lunch and cuddle with a cat, which, if you've never done it, snuggling with a pet is one of the better medicines you'll never find in a pharmacy. And try and let go of some confusion and disdain for the idiocy that humanity demonstrates itself capable of every day. And if anyone has a good explanation that they can back up, I'd be thrilled to hear it. I really would, because I can't for the life of me come up with any stretch of the mind where this is okay.